Hey there, this is Herc Magnus again, and welcome to another whiteboard session. Today we are going to talk about how to rank a page in Google, and really what we're getting at here is the three core fundamentals of SEO, whether you're going after rank and rent style keywords, whether you're working for an agency and trying to rank them higher in Google, or even if you're doing affiliate marketing and trying to rank big affiliate term keywords. The core fundamentals really are the same in every scenario, and they haven't changed in Google in a very, very long time. So just so you know, this training is going to be more short and concise. I'm going to talk about the three elements and each of the sub-elements within them, but we're not going to go into great detail on this video. I'm just trying to give you a general overview of what it takes to rank a page in Google. So let's get started. The first thing that you're going to have to master, okay, is keyword research, okay? So keyword research. Now, what is a keyword? Basically, a keyword is the intended phrase or word that you are trying to rank for in Google. So like weight loss, when someone goes and types in weight loss in Google and you want your website to show up. Now, that's a really terrible example to lead with because you're probably not gonna rank for a keyword that big, and it comes down to the subtopics of keyword research on how to find the right type of keywords to go after. So the items of keyword research basically come down to this, okay? You want to find a keyword with the right type of volume. Now, volume is a measure by Google of how many times that particular keyword or keyword phrase is searched for in Google over a monthly period. The numbers that Google reports in tools like the AdWords Planner and then other keyword tools isn't an exact number, okay? It's not like they measured the amount of searches for a specific keyword and then they tell it to you in these tools. They're more approximations, so don't get all weird like some people do if you find a keyword and it says 30 and you're like, no, I'm sure it has more than that or less than that. It's just an approximation. It's just to help guide you in the right area. So obviously volume is important when you're targeting a keyword. You don't want to target a keyword that really has no volume. Nobody's searching for it. So something like red and blue socks for chickens with, mad cow disease. Like nobody's searching for that. So there's no point in trying to target that keyword. But on the other end of that spectrum is like you don't want to target a keyword like weight loss like I initially talked about, because there's just so much competition for that keyword. There's so much search volume that you're just never going to rank for it. You have to be so good of a technical SEO to rank for that keyword that is just rarely going to happen. So we're trying to find the middle ground of keywords, because there is a correlation between keyword search volume and competition, meaning that the lower the search volume, often the lower the competition. You don't have to do as many things or be as good at them because there's not as many people that you're competing against for those keywords. But the higher the search volume, oftentimes the higher the competition. It's just a natural correlation. Now, those rules can be broken, and one example of that would be like a high volume keyword with low competition would happen when something trending explodes. So like cryptocurrencies, for instance, when they first started coming into our world, nobody really knew what they were. Nobody was writing about them or publishing web pages about them. There was literally zero competition. But as people started understanding what they were, as they started integrating into the fabric of our society, more people started talking about them, and the search volume of them preceded the rate at which people were building websites for them. So for instance, like Bitcoin, maybe was at the point it was at 10,000 searches a month, or Bitcoin price or Bitcoin mining, there still wasn't a lot of websites or competition being written about it. So the volume was high, but the competition was low because the trend took off so fast. So there are, rules that can be broken, and this is one of them. But typically, the correlation is the higher the search volume, the higher the competition. So the volume, you want it to be low enough so that there's not a lot of competition, but high enough so that you can actually get some traffic to your website if you rank for it. So that brings us to the next element of keyword research, okay? And that is the relevance of the keyword to the subject matter of your page or your domain or whatever you're trying to rank. So relevance is really key in good keyword research, because you might want to build an affiliate site or rank a local business like a gym for like weight loss keywords, but it's really hard to rank for weight loss, as I mentioned. But you could have a lot easier of a time ranking for something more specific but still relevant. So something like weight loss for men over 40. That's a subtopic of weight loss, and it's defining it by the sex of the person and the age of the person. So you're getting very specific, but it still has relevance. Now, if you're doing weight loss for men over 40 and you're bringing in people into a client of yours who runs a gym, perfect. But if you're doing like weight loss blenders, your client that runs a gym doesn't, unless they sell weight loss blenders, there's no real relevance. So you have to make sure that your keyword is relevant to the overall topic that you're building out a website for, or at least that you can build content that creates relevance that'll help you close a sale for that keyword. So the next one that you need to do and look at is the competition of the keyword, okay? T-I-T-I-O-N. I spelt it wrong, competition, we'll just call it that. So competition, basically, there's a lot of tools out there, keyword research tools, that will help you kind of understand competition. But the problem that I find, they use something called keyword difficulty or some name like that that's similar to that. But the problem that I personally find with someone telling you how difficult a keyword is to rank for is, number one, it becomes a crutch, and you don't ever go out on your own and truly learn what makes a keyword easy or hard to rank for by actually building websites and actually trying to rank them in Google yourself. They provide a keyword competition difficulty score based on what that person who developed that software deems to be heavy or easy competition. So you're kind of, listening or trusting that they know what they're talking about rather than going out and finding yourself. Now, a lot of people love using those competition difficulty metrics. I personally don't like to use them because I know what it takes to rank in Google or what it doesn't take to rank in Google. So I use a little bit of a different set of metrics, and I actually use Google. So when you go to Google, and this is especially useful in a local market where your search volumes and your competitions are a lot lower. When I go and look at a keyword, so for instance, if I was looking at stump removal in Atlanta, Georgia, so for like when people cut down a tree and there's a stump left in the ground, if I do search for stump removal Atlanta, Georgia, I'll search that in Google just as anybody else would, and that's called a broad match search. And you'll see in Google, so I'll put an image up right here, you'll see in Google that there's actually a number that it says this is how many results we have found, and it's usually for a lot of keywords going to be in the millions and millions, and that's a broad match search. So that's a number that I look at. The next one that I look at is I take that phrase, stump removal Atlanta, Georgia, and I wrap it in quotes when I search for it in Google. Now what that's doing is it's being a little bit more defined in what you're searching for. You're telling Google, listen, I want the keyword stump removal Atlanta, Georgia to exist on the website in its entirety and in its order. This phrase, these 4 words have to appear somewhere. If they're broken up in different places, it's not relevant. But if it appears somewhere on the page, then it's relevant. So the number will plummet when you look for it in a phrase match result. The next one is going to be the in title search, and I'm not going to talk about the search operator for that, but basically what you're asking Google now is saying, look, I want this phrase in its entirety and its correct order. It has to be in the title of the website or the web page. It has to be in the title. If it's not in the title, it's not relevant. And then once again, those numbers will plummet. And then finally, the fourth one is the keyword in the URL, so that the keyword phrase in its entirety, in its order, has to appear in the URL. And the funny thing about the in title and the in URL is the keyword, as we go through this and I go into next steps, you'll see that optimizing a website for like proper optimization, one of the responsible steps is putting your keyword in your title and in your URL. So people who know search engine optimization, they know to do that. So when you're saying, show me all the websites that have a keyword in the title and in the URL, what you're really looking at is the competition of the people that know what they're doing. And those 4 numbers, the broad, the phrase, the in title, in the in URL, over time have given me enough information to basically understand if a keyword is overly competitive or not. So next we're going to look at the value of a keyword. Okay. Now the value of a keyword is kind of related to the model of SEO that you're doing. So we're going to talk about it in a rank and rent perspective. The value of a keyword. So let's say, for instance, we're doing, grass cutters in St. Albert. So St. Albert's a town north of Edmonton with about 50,000 people in it. And let's say we had good volume and relevance and all that, and the competition was low. Well, the value of a grass cutter, I mean, little kids charge 20 bucks to cut a grass. There's not a lot of value in that keyword or to rank for that keyword. If you were to get a lot of traffic, I'm sure you could send it to your kid, but you're not going to build a business on that keyword. Whereas, you know, stump removal or tree removal, stuff like that, those companies come in and they charge thousands of dollars depending on how many trees and the size and complexity of the projects. But they charge a lot of money for that. So them ranking for that keyword, there's a lot of value in that keyword for them. Now, you don't always need to rank for keywords with value. Sometimes you can rank for keywords that are relevant and then land them on your relevant page and then bring them over to your value page. So something like, how do I remove a tree stump? And you could rank for some in Atlanta, Georgia or something, and you could rank for that, and then the person reads it and then is thinking like, oh my God, I can't do this myself. I'm gonna have to hire a company. So there's no value in that keyword, but it's still a good keyword that's relevant to target to bring them over to your value page. The next one that we're gonna talk about is CPC, okay? The CPC of a keyword. Now, what CPC is, it stands for cost per click. Now, a lot of businesses, when you search Google, you see a lot of ads along the top of Google, and then the first 3 listings or whatever, there's advertisements. They even say right on them, ad. And what's going on there is people and businesses are paying Google for that ad to show up when someone searches for that specific keyword. Now, when that ad shows up and somebody else who searched for that keyword clicks on that ad, the advertiser has to pay Google for that click, so the cost per click. So the cost per click is an interesting metric to us, not because we're looking at running ads or anything like that, but it gives us an idea of how much money is in that market. And in a rank and rent scenario, it's very, very useful. So for instance, tree service in Atlanta, Georgia might have a cost per click of $20. And what that's telling us is that companies in Atlanta are paying $20 per click for that single keyword to have their ad show up, right? And to have people click on their ad. So we know if we see that the CPC is at, you know, $20, that there's people paying money for it. There's a business there. There's companies that exist there. And another metric of CPC is the competition of the CPC. And there's a lot of tools out there, including ours called Keyword Supremacy, that show you the competition for the CPC. And what that measures is how many people are bidding on that keyword. So for instance, with the Atlanta, Georgia Tree Services or Tree Services Atlanta, Georgia, if we see it has a $20 CPC with a very, very high competition, they measure it from 0 to 100. So if it was like an 80 competition with a $20 CPC, that means lots of companies are bidding on that keyword. If the competition was down around 10, that means only a few companies are bidding on that keyword. Now that information is helpful to know, because if you see a high enough CPC and a high competition, that's not something to be afraid of. That's great. That means there's a lot of companies out there paying money to Google, and expensive money to Google, to get traffic to their websites. Well, if you build a website and rank it #1 in Google, I'm sure that a company that you contacted and said, listen, I know you're spending money on AdWords. How about I cut your budget in half? We'll send you, traffic just the same, but we'll do it naturally. It's an easier competition, or an easier kind of sales process. You know that there's companies, you know that they're spending money, and it just is a signification to you that you can enter the market. So keyword research is really, really a bunch of things to keep in mind. But once again, there's tools out there that will basically tell you all of these things, and Keyword Supremacy is one of them. If you're watching this video and you don't own it, just go to keywordsupremacy.com. You can get a free account to test it out and start playing around with these metrics. So that's keyword research. The next one, okay, is going to be something called on-page optimization. Okay, I'll just say I'll write it out, optimization. Okay, on-page optimization is once you've selected your keywords, and you're not going to just try and rank for a single keyword, you're going to try and rank for multiple keywords. So you have to do enough keyword research to find multiple keywords, because you're not going to have just a one-page site. You're going to have multiple pages, and you're going to rank for multiple keywords over multiple pages, which is going to help you bring in a lot of traffic. Now, on-page optimization is when you go to build your website, okay, you have to do something called on-page optimization to basically tell Google what each page on your website is actually about. It helps Google understand what your page is about. Okay, and the elements of on-page optimization, okay, are title, okay, and the title is basically, it's a code that exists in the HTML of your page. Okay, it's called a meta header tag or a meta tag. So there'll be something that is inserted called meta title, and that's what shows up in Google. So when you do a listing in Google, you always see the 10 results that come up in Google. The 3 bits of information that you're able to see are the title, the URL, and the description. So the title is pretty important to optimize for the keyword that you're trying to rank for. Now there's good optimization and bad optimization. There's aggressive optimization and there's more passive optimization. So I'm not going to go into all that. I'll just tell you that having your keyword in your title is a pretty obvious thing to do if you want to optimize for a specific keyword on a page. There's also tricks that we can do to help you optimize for multiple keywords, even though you don't use them exactly in your title. You know, we can teach you that later on, but this video is not about that. So there's title, okay? There's URL, which is the URL of your site or your domain. So your domain is considered the home page of your site. If you type in just like abc.com, that's the home page. But if you were typing abc.com/page, that's an inner page of your site. Okay, so either one, the domain or the page, is considered the URL. So having your keyword in the URL is obviously a good thing to do to help Google understand what it's about. Once again, there's good optimization for URL, bad, aggressive, and passive. So the next one is going to be called description. Now, description is basically another meta tag like title. It's something that goes into the back-end coding of your website that Google can read. And these 3 elements, okay, make up a Google listing, which is what is found on Google. Now to insert titles and descriptions, typically you're going to use, like if you're using WordPress to build sites, which is what I'm recommending, you're going to use a software that'll help you turn the WordPress defaults into an actual title and description. And I won't go into that, but WordPress by default is set up kind of terribly. So people use plugins like the one that we developed called Project Supremacy V3, which among many, many other things does really good on-page optimization and helps you supply a title and a description. There's literally a box that says title and you type in what you want the title to be. There's one for description, you type in what you want the description to be, and then it just magically goes into your code backend and shows up on Google. Now, these 3 elements of on-page optimization, there's only 3, there's a couple more, but these are the 3 that show up on Google. Now, with these title, URL, and descriptions, you're trying to get your keywords mixed in there so that you're relevant for what the person is searching for, and you being relevant is what helps you show up in Google. But there's 2 audiences that you're trying to please with your optimization of these 3 elements. One is obviously Google. You're trying to tell Google, you know, what is this page about? And you're obviously targeting the keywords that you found during the keyword research stage. So you're trying to mix them throughout here to create relevance in a balanced and responsible way. Now, kind of the history of Google in the early days of search engines. Okay, let's just use like Nutrisystem Bullet. People used to build web pages and the title would be Nutrisystem Bullet. The URL would be Nutrisystem Bullet /Nutrisystem Bullet, and the description would be like Nutrisystem Bullet. Check out our Nutrisystem Bullet review. We have the best Nutrisystem Bullet. And then they would write a big long paragraph and the words Nutrisystem Bullet would show up like hundreds or thousands of times on the page. And then the search engines would look at all that and be like, holy smokes, like this has got to be about Nutrisystem Bullet. It's got it showing up more times than anybody else. Let's rank it first. Now that's called spamming, and search engines got smarter. So that's when I say when you have to do it in a responsible manner, stuff like that, if that's what you're thinking, I'll just like hammer it in there really aggressively, won't work anymore. Search engines got much, much smarter than that. But you have to do it in a responsible way so that you're appeasing your first audience, Google. Okay, if Google reads your title, URL, description, and you've done a good job, they'll understand what your page is about and help you rank higher. But the next audience that you have to appease is also the person who is searching on Google and actually sees your ad showing up. Now, if there's a website at number 1 and you're at number 2, and you're going after stump grinders in Atlanta, Georgia, and theirs is like, you know, stump grinders in Atlanta, Georgia, how-to articles, blah, 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 do it yourself, and yours is stump grinders in Atlanta, Georgia, best company, you know what I mean? And they're actually looking for a company. well, you've won them over, right? You've won them over because your title, your description is more relevant to their scenario, right? So you're appeasing Google with it, but you also have to write, because these basically a classified ad almost, you also have to write these in a way that are going to encourage people to click on your result over other people's results. You get to control it, you get to write it. So use your talent as a writer to write really good titles and descriptions that encourage people to click over to you. Now there's a formula if you want to learn about good writing called AIDA. It's attention, interest, desire, and action. Go search it on Google and read what those are about, and that might help you learn how to write really compelling titles and descriptions that are going to, you know, encourage people to get onto your page. Curiosity and asking a question are two other really great ways to get people to click on your result. So let's move on. The next one is called H1 tag, okay? Now by default, WordPress, the H1 tag is also the page title and the URL that when you create a post in WordPress, it magically turns everything into the same thing. So if your WordPress post was like Stump Grinders Atlanta, when you first started writing the post, well, that becomes your H1, it becomes your page title, and it becomes your URL, which is terrible, which is why people use plugins to basically say, no, my title is this, but my H1 is this. And what an H1 looks like when you're viewing at a web page, it's very easy to spot. It's typically the title of the post at the top, and it's in bigger, bolder letters. Okay, so, but H1s in the correct optimization scenario are different than the title. Okay, you can have a different page title that you're reading than what your page title is that you display to Google. So it's kind of a tricky thing, but it's important to know. Now, H1s is another one where you need to kind of sneak your keywords into and start balancing everything out in a responsible manner into. H1s are very, very important, but not as important as the ones that are seen on Google, because nobody will see your H1 on Google. They actually have to click on your result and go from Google and go into your page, then they will see your H1 tag. So Google does read all the H1 tags. H tags go from H1 to H6, and they kind of are like hierarchy tags, so topic tags. So like if you had a website about vacations, you know, and your H1 tag was like our vacation website, H2 tags, so they go from H1 to H6. H2 tags, when you're looking at it, would be a little smaller than an H1 tag in the size. And then what it's intended for is a subtopic of vacation. So you might have a couple H2 tags on your site where you have beach vacations and, you know, snow vacations. And then an H3 tag is another subtopic of the H2. So an H3 tag for beach vacations would be like Northern Hemisphere beach vacations, Southern Hemisphere beach vacations. And then your snow one might be, you know, skiing vacations and snowboarding vacations. So each H level becomes a subtopic of the upper one. It works like a hierarchy, which Google wants to see. But the H1 is the most important of them. So those are the on-page elements that are the four most important cores. But the fifth one, and this one is massively important actually, is the content that's actually on your page. Now, without getting into analyzing the top 10, having good content on your page that users actually like reading is quite important, okay? The length of it is important in different scenarios. Sometimes you can get away with shorter content. Sometimes you need a lot of content, okay? But it depends on what keyword you're targeting, what your competitors are doing as well to know what the correct length is. But your content is very important to talk about and balance your keywords into your content on that page. Now, content itself isn't just the words on your page, but it's also all the little elements within the content, because within content, you can have bolded words, you can have italicized words, you can have underlined words, you can have pictures. I'll just use a square for a picture. You can have videos, right? I'll put a little circle with a play bar. So you can have pictures, videos, underlined words, bolded words, italicized words. Google reads all this and takes it into account to understand your content. So content is kind of a bigger subject, but you can see all these things. Every time you bold a word, italicize or underline a word, Google understands you're basically putting emphasis on that word, and it matters, right? So that's the fifth element. And then the kind of sixth element, it's part of content really is, you know, so I'll put it as a subtopic, is interlinking. So interlinking is basically if you have a 5-page website, you know, and we're going to go back with that beach scenario. Your homepage is all about vacations. you have another page about beach vacations and a third page about snow vacations. And in your snow vacations page, you say, you know, if you don't really want to do a snow vacation, maybe you would rather prefer a beach vacation, and you link the snow page over to the beach page. Or if you have, you know, you get from your homepage into snow vacations, and then you have ski resorts, snowboarding resorts, maybe cross-country skiing resorts, and you link from your homepage to the snow vacations, and then your snow vacations page links over to your ski resorts page, and your snow vacations page links over to your cross-country skiing page, interlinking your content, okay, in a responsible and hierarchical, I'm not sure how to say the word, hierarchical way, okay, becomes another important element of on-page optimization. So the final one, which by writing is a lot less complicated, is off-page optimization. Okay, now up until this point, everything that you've done is on your website. Well, keyword research you do with a tool, on-page optimization you do it on your site as you're building your website. Now, if you do step 1 and step 2 correctly, okay, there are scenarios where you can land on the first page of Google. Okay, so for like instance, we'll stay with stump grinders or tree services. Like if you do tree services, Red Deer, Alberta, which is a small town in Alberta, Canada of about 100,000 plus people, and there's probably, you know, only a handful of people who do tree services in Red Deer. So there's not that much competition. Well, if you do really, really solid on-page optimization, you might land on the first page of Google. But if there's like 12 companies and they all have a website and they've all done decent SEO on their sites, well, then you would show up maybe number 13. Well, how do you get up to number 1 or 2 or 3 if everybody else has done equally as good job as you? Well, that's where it comes to off-page optimization, and what that really means is you're building backlinks to your page or post that you want to rank. Now, backlinks are kind of like a vote in Google's eyes. There's still good backlinks, there's still bad backlinks, and if you want, you can watch my whiteboard session on the whiteboard, the bucket theory on how to analyze backlinks and what makes a powerful backlink, what makes a powerful website. I've got a great video for that. But backlinks are something that Google started looking at because in the past scenario where I said, you know, people started with Google and just like basically spamming their own page with the same word over and over and over, Google caught on to that and said you can't do that. But then so people started getting really good at optimizing their page. Now say you have 2 pages that are targeting the same keyword and they're optimized basically equally as well. How do you determine who shows up first? Well, Google said, well, let's look a little deeper. Let's not just look at their page. Let's look at the other websites that are linking to their page, and we'll study their websites the same way we're studying this website. So is the link relevant? Does it come from a site that's, you know, if our site is about vacations, maybe it's coming from a travel agency site. Well, is it a relevant link? Is the link any good? What is the anchor text of the link? How many links are there? Google started looking at all these things on multiple levels. So if your site was about beach vacations and you got a backlink from a travel agent and the travel agent got a backlink from maybe a banking company or I don't know, Google would actually start looking at every website and all its backlinks to help determine who has the most relevant content. So backlinks became a new part of the algorithm that Google updated to help determine who should rank in what place. Now, backlinks, as you get up in competition in keyword, backlinks are just part of the game. You're just going to have to build and learn how to build and be able to build really good backlinks to your site in order to get it ranked higher. Now, the nice thing is, once again, backlinks are kind of like keyword search volume. The less competitive the industry is, the less backlinks you might need to get there. The more competitive, the more links you'll need. And not only more of them, more quality types of backlinks. So the thing that Google is looking for in the backlinks, okay, pointing to your pages, is the relevance of the site, is the power of the site based on its backlinks. But then the other thing is the anchor text profile, okay? So that's kind of, Okay, so basically the anchor text is the word. So let's say you're on a website and you see a word and it's underlined and you can click on it, right? We've all done that before. That's called the anchor text. Images are clickable, but so are words. So images can be an anchor. It's not an anchor text, it is an anchor. But when the word is clickable, okay, then it is the anchor text. So anchor text profile, if you're in control of your own links, in a perfect world you would be. In Google, it's not always that way. You can control what your anchor text says. So let's say you're building a website about stump grinding or tree services in Atlanta, Georgia, and you're able to build a link on another website, okay? If your anchor text said, you know, click here to buy chicken mittens, it's a terrible anchor text. It's not relevant. Even if it was on a website that was, you know, something about stump grinding, like if your backlink was on a website about something with stump grinding and leading to your website, which is another stump grinding website for Atlanta, Georgia, but your anchor text said click here for chicken mittens, it's a terrible anchor text. So the words that are used as clickable words make up your anchor text profile of all the links, and Google looks at your overall anchor text profile to help determine, you know, of all the websites that are linking to your page, what do all those anchor texts say? It helps them determine, once again, what your website is about. And it's really, really smart, and that's how Google basically capitalized the search engine market, is through starting to look at backlinks. So these are basically the three core fundamentals, okay, that you as an SEO should have to master, okay? And the better you get at each one of them, it will help the other ones. But the most important one, obviously, and you should learn them in this order, you should learn how to do good keyword research before you learn how to optimize a page. Because once again, if you choose a keyword with zero volume, but you can optimize it, well, even though you'll rank #1 in Google, you're the only one searching for it, so it doesn't really matter. And then getting good at on-page optimization is going to help lessen the amount of backlinks that you have to build. So for instance, if you've chosen a good keyword like weight loss for men over 40, okay, and you kind of do a poor job at optimization, well, then you might be thinking, oh, I need to build more backlinks, right? Because I'm not getting to where I want to get. But it's because you've done a poor job on optimization. Google's not understanding what your page is about. This is about weight loss for men over 40, but your page title is like, you know, weight loss for women under 30 or something completely stupid like that. It seems kind of funny putting it that way, but this is an art, okay? You can become good at on-page optimization. You can become better at it. There are people who are excellent at on-page optimization. And if you go further into training with me, when I look at a tool that we built to help you with on-page optimization, you'll see why it's an art. Because if you're trying to rank for 5 keywords on a single page, how do you blend those 5 keywords properly within these elements so that Google understands that all 5 keywords are relevant to your page, not just one. So if you do a poor job at, you know, that how to lose weight for men over 40 on-page optimization, you might be tricked into thinking you need to build more backlinks because you're not getting to where you want to go. However, if you do an excellent job here, you might only need 2 or 3 more backlinks to push you up to where you need to go. So each of these items is equally important. They come in this order. First, you have to do keyword research, then you have to optimize correctly. If you can't get to where you want to go in Google by the time you're here, then you're going to have to learn about backlinks in order to push you all the way up into the top 3 in Google. So that's going to be it. That's the 3 core fundamentals of how to rank a page in Google. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully it helps you kind of put things together in your mind. If you have any questions or comments about this video, please leave them below. Otherwise, we'll see you in another training, and I'll talk to you soon.